There it is, man. There it was.
I love it.
Jody Williams. How are you doing, sir?
I'm recovering from a wild weekend. I have to drink some tea and coffee to get my voice back. So,
Well, we have a ton of people already here.
Welcome,
waiting
everybody.
for us.
Well, before we get this thing on the ground, as always, everybody, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel.
Oh my God. Yes, do that. Like and subscribe. And here I thought we were going to lose the feed already. But we're good. Jody, you can still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. It's been a rough weather weekend up here.
Really?
In yeah, lots of overland flooding, all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
And what they say about global warming?
Something about it being a myth.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's throw some shout outs here in the chat.
Yes.
Billy Berg is already here. The first guy. Dustin, Dan Woodley, Macho Man Arm Wrestling Channel, Living Hints, Machine. Dan Woodley again says Craig Tooley versus Dan Mosier, match of the weekend. Interesting because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Was that, I don't even know where that happened. Was that in the tournament? Candy Passmore is in the chat.
Yes,
Bill.
that took place at Louisiana State. Is that Candy in the house? Candy.
Yeah, and Ward Drake. So where do you want to begin, my man? Let's talk our sponsors a little bit.
Yes.
By Supplement King Portage of Prairie. Fraser's Next Level, of course, is in there. And, just so you guys know, Jody and I are split our super chats. So if you guys want to throw something our way, you feel free to do so. And we have a ton of stuff to talk about. So which event do you want to start with? Because I've got my notes.
I'm going to save the Arizona State for last, because I feel kind of bad. I never really watched the Louisiana State tournament at all. I saw a couple of the super matches live, but then I had to start getting ready for, what I had to do for the show for Arizona. But at all the super matches, I'm looking back and is it my imagination? Did the matches seem a little one-sided?
We're talking specifically Louisiana?
Yeah, like all we're either 3-1 or 3-0. So
yeah. Oh my God. Billy Berg, $5 super chat already. Keep killing it, guys. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? There's a few things I noticed throughout that card. For one thing, we mostly had left-handed super matches. We only had, I believe it was only 2 right-handed super matches, unless I missed something there. Yeah, they were definitely one-sided. Well, let's get right into it.
And we'll go with the Carl Stanley Krasimir match, right? And that went Krasimir's way. That was a left-handed match, and Krasi won 3-0. What I saw was how Krasi would grip.
Oh, you're talking. You mean Doug Allen? Doug Allen.
Sorry, Carl. Don't beat me up. Doug Allen, and the way he gripped so low, on it's just the hand control. It seemed like Doug was uncomfortable after match 1.
2 things. Well, more than 2 things. It looked like, I don't know, man. In match 1, I thought, maybe Krasi, maybe he's got a little something for Krasi, but no, it was not to be. Maybe it was just jitters after not arm wrestling for so long.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty dominant. But I am starting to really have an issue with when guys are finished a super match and they keep pulling for whatever reason that is.
You mean when they call match and they still kind of want to grind?
Yeah, do that later. It's almost like, have you ever seen another professional sport anywhere where the game is over and they just play a little bit more?
The short answer is no.
Well, I don't like it because I don't want the narrative to change in something that isn't part of the match.
Right.
So you mean that match finished and the narrative didn't change. But they ended up pulling in a hook, which I thought was, strange. They stayed up there and decided to do after pulling during the match or during the event.
You could have did that to side table. Honestly, you really could. If you really wanted to. Why you didn't do it in the match when it counted is beyond me. But they could have did an impromptu thing on the side table during the tournament or something like that, or even after the event, they could have did something like that. But yeah, that was kind of weird. But
yeah, get the hell out of there. But anyway,
right.
That's Phil Woody UK super sticker, 99.99, and I think that is pounds.
I'm not sure what that is equivalent to in Canadian and American money.
Well, it's a few bucks at least. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I got to keep track of these.
So, Krasny, all in all, very dominant on the left-hand side, which I knew he had to, and I'm glad that kind of went his way. Nothing against Doug, but to get his mind ready for Cory, because he was going to need every single ounce of that. But we'll get to Cory and Krasny later. But
yeah,
what do you think of the? I was very impressed with Jonathan Brita over Jordan Steele left-handed.
That was dominant. It was more dominant than maybe people realized, I think. And the second it went to the straps, you could see how much stronger Brita was than Steele. And speaking of Brita, he's going to jump on here with us next week.
Ooh, nice.
The rules debate is going to continue because he had some words to say, but we'll leave that for next week.
Nice.
There's a lot of stuff that happened during the Louisiana event that got people talking about rules again. And of course, I got dogs going ape shit again.
Hey, I can't wait. Is that Fox 8-Ball in the house? What's up?
8-Ball's in the house. Alex McDonald says, how are you feeling about your left-handed match with Cory now? The exact same, but let's get into that more later.
Right. Jordan Steele is one of those guys where, and I think Cody Merida had mentioned this before on one of the shows, and he said, sometimes you don't know what to get. You'll have a dominant version of Jordan Steele, and then you have a Jordan Steele where it's like, what the hell are you doing? Where he just seems so mismatched versus Jonathan Brita. And Brita is a legit left-handed, force. And I thought it'd be a lot closer than it was, but unfortunately it wasn't. I mean, it is what it is. So, but take nothing away from Jonathan Brita. Jordan just didn't look like he was there all upstairs, honestly, on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a one-sided match.
Right.
And on the flip, yeah, that's right. Brita looked ready and strong, and it was, there's some playing around with the hand, but when I went to the strap, it was all Brita. And
yes.
When they say the strap doesn't lie, well, it doesn't. Brita was the stronger man.
Now, on the flip side, Jordan Steele's right-handed match, and I'm like going, okay, here we go. Now, one goddamn match was won by a pin.
Now, but you can argue that a little bit. So you can't argue the fact that all matches ended in fouls, but you can argue that the right guy won that match because he seemed so much stronger than Austin McGraw.
Yeah,
he was. I don't think it changed the outcome of the match, but I mean, Steele just looked like he was playing catch. Like he wasn't aggressive at all. He was so much stronger that, he kind of let him do his thing and the guy fouled himself out. Now, that's where the rules thing comes in because there was a lot of heckling going on with the refs. But again, we'll save that for later or whatever. If we have some time today, we can get into it a little bit. And then it prompted the big speech from the refs that came in if you watch the live feed, which, by the way, 217, Brad Cook, thank you so much for posting that feed so that the rest of us could get a chance to watch that.
I tell you what, Ryan, there was one thing that didn't happen in Arizona State. There was no bitching about the refs, and there's a reason why, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Yes.
You got anything to close thoughts on Steele versus McGraw? Because
I wish, and like I said, when you have these super matches, everybody in the chat, you guys got to realize that they had this meeting with the referees and they explain, hey, this is going to be the format, and everyone agrees to, right? So once it's all said and done and the ink is dry, this is what we're going with, right? So I would love to see Austin make it more, I don't know, let's keep his elbow on it. Just be aware. Because like I said before, you and I talked about this, was it last week? And I said, hey, it's up to the pullers to be aware of their elbows and all that kind of, it's up to the pullers. Once you put your elbow on the pad, all the ref has to do is do their job, which is call fouls and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's up to the pullers to do that. So I don't want to elaborate too much on that because y'all know how I feel about that. So
That's right. I mean, learn how to arm wrestle. It's like the World Arm Wrestling League has ruined us for all future matches with anything but that rule set. But I mean, it's what we did for years.
yes. You got to get the ladies some love. Did you catch the ladies?
I did.
What'd you think?
I thought that Deb pulled it in a dress too.
This is normal. You know that, right?
I did not know that.
This is normal for her.
Okay, she I thought it was great, but again, I mean, Deb Banyan, Bethany. What's Bethany's last name?
Richie.
So Deb looked so hand dominant that's where the match was won. Even when it went over on Bethany's side and Deb played catch with her, the hand is what made the difference, in my opinion. She always ended up on top and was able to pull out of it. Now, it was 3-1, but one of those matches was just a foul loss.
Right. Here's the thing, Ryan. There's so many levels to the sport because this is how good Deb Banyan is. You know, she's been to the WAF championship, so she knows what goes on. Now, you got to understand, if to let you guys know how good Deb Banyan is, right-handed, Bethany Richie won the right-handed women's tournament and now has the Louisiana Contraband Championship belt. But before that, got dominated by Deb Banyan. So that's to show you how good Deb is and the different levels of the sport.
Yeah. It was, you know, a solid match compared to some of the dominance we saw from in other areas.
Yes.
You know, however, I almost got the impression that Deb could have made that look a bit more one-sided if she wanted to.
I think everybody was in awe with the dress she had on. How many people do you know that pulls in a dress and heels? But like I said, this is normal. This is normal for her. So it's no big deal for her.
And the one thing I would say is they need to get some risers that actually fit under the table legs or between the table legs.
Yeah, what was that ankle stuff? I'm worried somebody's going to roll their ankle.
That's the only way they could. They weren't too big to fit in between the table legs.
Wow.
So I mean, that's what they had to do.
Gotcha.
So let me see here. We talked about Doug Allen and Krause. We talked about Brita Sill. We talked about Deb and Bethany. Oh, the other left-handed match was Cory West and Carl Stanley.
Way too dominant. Cory was.
The only time that I thought Carl was a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was a little bit quicker. And there's one other thought I had on the McGraw versus Sill match.
Yes.
There was lots more fouls that didn't get called in that match because I thought the McGraw fast started almost every single match. But anyway, back to West versus Stanley. I thought Stanley was faster.
Yeah.
Cory was stronger everywhere. And the only time Carl got anything on him was when he did that flop wrist thing. But even when that happened, Cory looked so comfortable that he just kind of let it go over a little bit and then pulled him back. What are your thoughts?
Well, before I answer that, here's a chat from Mr. Peanut. It says, WAL, Steve Kaplan demanded to have his own rules to protect his rebranding efforts to take over pro arm sports. Wall did so without any safety concerns. I lost count of arm breaks from Wall events.
interesting tidbit of information. It was like, remember when they had those monster tournaments down in Vegas?
Yes.
There was like 7 broken arms on the day one of that event.
Oh, I remember. I wasn't there, but I remember hearing about it. And the first thing I said was,
Yeah.
well, there are two things that stuck out that weekend. One, who were the refs? Not to point the fingers, but who were the refs? And then number two, I think that was when you were just throwing in amateurs and opens all at the same time.
Yes, there was.
You
They
know?
were all together. But the other thing is, they Devin had this theory, and he used to say this, that a professional arm wrestler should have the right to break their arm if they so choose. And I think they kind of ran with that.
That's weird to say. Nobody wants to do that, but there's a reason why there's open competitors and amateur competitors, because when you got a bunch of money up for grabs, those open guys are going for the kill. And if you got amateurs or, kind of starstruck or let me see what happens, and they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position, something's about to give, especially when you got that much money up for grabs, because everybody wants that. What's up, Cody Merritt, who's in the chat now?
Little guy. Little Cody. Yeah, they if I remember correctly, I think the very first match on the first day of that tournament, there was a broken arm, and it was actually an experienced arm wrestler. I just don't recall who it was.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, freak accident, and then there was a ton of them throughout the day. I mean, they might as well have the tournament at the hospital.
Yeah, but to answer your question about Cory and Carl, I think Cory was so strong. He was a table boss. Okay, what I mean by a table boss is that he was hovering all over the table, or it made it kind of intimidating, where it almost seemed like Carl had to flop wrists. I would have loved to see what would happen if he would have shoved his elbow to the front of the pad and create that height to see what would happen then. But maybe that's not a good position for Carl. I don't know.
I don't know what Cody Merritt's talking about here.
I love that. But yeah, just dominant, but nothing to hang your head about, Carl. You did good out there, and Cory's just on another level. That's all. Nothing to take away from Carl, nothing to be ashamed about. But I think Cory has welcomed himself to the elite level, because then when he pulled Krasimir, the match everybody wanted to see, it was like, oh my God, let's see what happens. Your thoughts on that?
Pure domination, man. The look on Krasimir's face after the first 2 times they pulled, he was like, "Oh shit!" Like he knew he was in trouble, and he was surprised at how strong Cory was. Now, is that an indication of where he's at both arms? Maybe, but his biggest test is coming.
True. Here's what I take back from some of these matches. Even though this match has been set for a few months now, give or take, and you train for your opponent, you see all the video you can and all the photos and all that kind of stuff, YouTube, whatever, from your opponent. And you can sit there and watch it, day and night. When you get on the table and you actually grip up with that person in that first go, you're still kind of going, you're like, wow, okay, now I really know what I'm into. And sometimes, you can be in awe. And I think Krasi's facial remarks, his expression, told the story on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of said it all, right? It was crazy. Holy man, it was crazy. I'll get to that one in a sec, Jody. It was crazy to see the dominance, and here's the thing, though. I did see some things. Like, I did see some holes there. And I'm not going to tell you what they were, because I know Cory's going to watch this too, but there's some holes there. And I think I can exploit those. So, yeah.
You want to get to the the super chat?
Clifton Erickson, who, if you recall, sent us $99.99 last week. He's downsized the super chat, but it's still pretty damn good. $49.99. Jody versus me, right-handed in the future, the far future.
How much does Mr. Erickson weigh?
Oh, I think he's close to your weight. He used to pull I think around the 175 mark, and now he's, I think, bulked up a little bit.
I came into Arizona State at 231.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear. So
there you go.
Where's he from anyway?
Clifton is from North Dakota, if I'm not mistaken. He's very close to me, if not Minnesota. Jay says Krause needs to stick to the lower weight classes or start juicing. I love watching him pull, but he's going to keep getting harder and harder for him. And then Cody said, Cory told me that he felt that in the after pull, he felt very confident against Krause lefty.
Nice. Clifton, 225 from North Dakota. All right. And you know what? Isn't everybody on juice these days? Wow. Isn't everybody? Well, hey, I'm full of beer and candy, so it's not me. But good Lord. You know,
Krause might be one of those guys that's not.
He seems to fluctuate in weight. There's times he looks nice and thick, and there's times he looks like downsized.
Would I be out of line to say that I thought he looked like a little bit downsized at this event?
Yes. No, I meant legs and all. He looked like somebody who's about 220, 225.
Yeah. But Krasmir doesn't have the frame of a super heavyweight. So, he can pick his path. But he's also gotten massive wins. Like, he's beaten Alex Kurdecha in a 6-rounder.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. So I wonder if it's the opponent, and this is where it goes back to, like, styles make matches. You beat Alex Kurdecha, who's coming here with everything he has, but yet you go to Cory West. I'm not taking anything away from Cory people, but you look downsized. You look like a shell of yourself when you pulled, Kurdecha. And, one has to wonder, like, is he really made for that weight class?
Yeah.
The reason why I say this, do you remember I think it was 2012 or something like that, and there was like a 8-person round or 8-person round robin type deal in Bulgaria. I want to say Bulgaria or Poland. And it was when Trubin was 209, and he went through John Brzezinski 6-0, right?
Yeah.
And remember, that's when he also was coming out party. Then he came out to Vegas. He pulled Michael Todd. And then all of a sudden, he was the flavor of the month. And then he's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the problem was when the bigger he got, the more losses he took because your body's not made for that frame. Like if I got to 250, 260, I would be horrible because my frame doesn't fit that kind of weight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. Over the Top TVs in the house, they got a channel going as well. Check them out, guys. Good Canadian channel based out of Saskatchewan.
Nice.
Clifton Erickson, $49.99 super chat. There. Now I'm even from last week.
Oh, there you go. Who's the promoter in North Dakota?
Well, Clifton's done some. James Jensen has done some.
I want to say, who does it? I want to say Luke Polster did some events up there, but there's somebody up there that does events either in North or South Dakota. I can't remember who it was. Weren't you supposed to pull Cody Merritt at some event up there?
Oh, you're thinking of Brian Kerner's event around Kansas City.
Man, maybe that was it.
Yeah. Jay Clean says Krause's weight's been pretty consistent over the past 10 years.
Okay. Well, he just looks. There's days he looks like he's about 225, and times it looks like he's about 260. But if it's consistent, good for him. But it's just like maybe the guys he's pulling makes him look that much smaller. But of course, Cory looks a lot huger than some of his opponents anyway. So,
all right. So that's almost everything for that event. Now, you want to move on to Arizona?
Shall we? Shall we move on to that?
The first question I have is, why wasn't there any problem with the reffing?
I'm glad you asked that. So, everybody in the chat, here's a question for you. Ryan, here's a question from you. What did you see in the Louisiana super matches with the reffing? What's the first thing that stuck out to you?
I don't know.
Well, here's the difference. At the Arizona State, we had 3 refs.
Okay.
So we had Luke Polster, the head ref, and you had 2 down refs, one at the corners, not so much directly down, but at the corners. So you had Scott Wynn at one corner, and you had Reza at the other corner. So you had 3 refs, 1 head ref, 2 down refs at each corner.
Okay.
So there was no ifs, ands, or buts about what was going on. There were no discrepancies. We had what we call a power meeting the night before. So we all met up in the suite. All the people involved were saying, hey, we're going to talk over, the rules and stuff. Luke Polster said, hey, if you got any questions, tell me now. This is how we're going to run this. So the rule states that we're going to get a WAF, a WAF grip up with a little tweak. If there's any kind of bunny hops, they're not going to, and no one gains position, they're not going to call that, okay? Because if you want to do this pay-per-view production, everybody had to agree to it. And again, it goes back to what, we talked about last week about the rule set. Once the referee says, hey, these are the rules, then when everyone agrees to them, then we're going to roll through it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody was in agreement. At one point, I think Wayne was like, are we doing wall setups? Or are we doing WAF? And so he wanted to make sure with Don Underwood that they're on the same page. No, we're not doing the thumbs down, close your hands. We're doing the actual get your grip, and then we're going to go from there. So I think that kind of eliminated some of the issues. Luke was there at the Las Vegas tournament. Luke was at this tournament. So I think it was one of those situations where, hey, we saw some of the issues at Las Vegas. Let's make sure we don't have the same kind of hiccups or even backlash at this event. So that was great. And I'm glad they had it that way,
Well, that's interesting because there is that great debate on the little elbow pops. If you get some argue that you get an advantage every time you elbow foul in position. But it seemed to be a much more efficient way to run an event.
And Utah, arm wrestling, the cameras were up. So once this thing gets out there, you got the cameras on each corner of the pad, depending if you're pulling left or right. It was set up. So you had the cameras there, and you have the 2 down refs on each corner and the head ref. So you got all kind of angles. So if there's any question, we can go back to it. We had all the production people. I was next to the production guy on this side. Don Underwood was on my left, and we're kind of going over it. So if we had to go back, instant replay, we could do that to make sure we get the call right. Because at that point, it's all about making the correct call. We don't want nobody getting screwed over on a ref's decision. So that was pretty cool. They had that.
Stacks just asked me a question, said, how confident do I feel in my match with Cory? Cory will finally meet another big heavyweight, a big change from Krasner. I feel pretty confident, but I know he's a powerful guy, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, carrying on.
To add on that, Ryan, yes. Yeah. How do you feel? And guys, you got to understand that what Cory displayed, against Krasny. Remember, they're pulled right-handed. Ryan and Cory are pulled left-handed. So let's not forget that. You can't gauge Krasny and Cory match to you and your match with Cory because there are 2 different hands, 2 different sets of tools there. So
yeah. I'm going to bring a different dynamic to the match, one that he maybe hasn't seen before. So
there you go. What match you want to start with first?
Well, we can go right with Coach Ray and Artem.
Yes, these were the only 2 guys that pulled both hands, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like Artem wasn't quite there, and the one thing that puzzled me is that both guys pulled the tournament. So you got to understand that the super matches were after the tournament.
Yeah, why would they do that?
I don't know. I really, especially when they're pulling both hands in the super match. I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know. It's just for me, I thought that was kind of like, but I don't know. If you're Coach Ray, you fly over here. It's like, well, I'm already over here. I want to do some pulling too. And me and him after pull, that was pretty fun. I posted on my YouTube. That was pretty fun. But I think some of that might have taken away from the actual match itself. I don't think Artem was mentally there yet. I think he took it more seriously on the right side because the first match of the actual event was those two, and they went left-handed, and it looked a little one-sided. But I think Artem was not there yet, so to speak, not in the right frame of mind. But he did wake up on the right hand. Still same result, but he woke up a lot better.
Now, I will admit that I vastly underestimated Coach Ray. I thought that Artem was going to win those matches.
I thought the lanes that Artem could have exploited was going to, manifest itself, and it didn't. I thought his style of pulling would have gave Coach Ray some issues. It seemed like it did on the right side, but by that point, it was a little too late.
Yeah. So
but it's all about making adjustments. Artem, I believe, won the first match on the right hand, and then that kind of, you could tell in his face that it was serious now. But Coach Ray, these are why these guys from Latvia, they're so smart. They'll like, okay, I lost here. I know my mistake. I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. So they position themselves in that lane to like take your best shot. Because more often times than not, when you're a puller and you have a super match, if you win with a certain move, it's almost like, hey, I'm going to keep doing it till someone stops it. And that happened. Coach Ray readjusted, brought him back, got the win.
Yeah, it was good. Good wins for Coach Ray, both sides.
Yes.
All right. So we have let's go with the ladies.
Okay, here we go. Nancy Nations. Oregon. I'm an Oregon guy. She's an Oregon gal. Pacific Northwest representing down there. She's pulling Paige Williams, right? In her backyard.
Your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin, right? And here's the deal. She had the entire room cheering for her, which she should. She's from Arizona, okay? And first match, Paige goes right through her, okay? 1-0 Paige. Nancy missed a go. It's almost like she was set up to catch, Didn't work to her advantage. So they go back to their respective corners, and you can hear the buzz, let's go Paige and all that kind of stuff. Now, match 2 is when the whole dynamic changed, okay? So this will make sense when I explain this to you. Paige is from Arizona. Nancy's from Oregon. Of course, the crowd's going for Paige. Now, match number 2, Nancy finally wakes up, goes for the hit. Paige stops her. I'm thinking, oh, shit, and Paige is trying to go side pressure. Nancy transitioned to a press, drove down on her with a couple surges, and the entire place lost her shit. And that's how real arm wrestlers, because it went from all Paige to like now it's a 50-50 split. Some were going for Nancy because, wow, did you see that comeback? Some went for Paige. Come on, Paige, you're from Arizona. And that whole match dynamic changed. And with that being said, I think the crowd got into Nancy, and all of a sudden she just walked through it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and it's what I anticipated happening. The first match was a big surprise, but Nancy pulled it up.
Yes. And Tim Thomas, the promoter, being the guy that he is. So Nancy wins. I go on stage like I do with every winner of the match. And I said, Nancy, congratulations, and then all of a sudden, and I already heard this as I was going up to the steps. I see Le'Aaron Wilson walk to the stage, so guys, Le'Aaron Wilson, tough WAF competitor, right? She's about $165, $170, give or take. She entered the amateur men's division, took 3rd place.
Wow.
She took out about 3 dudes, one of them in a strap, and all of a sudden now, Tim's telling me as I'm going to the stage to congratulate Nancy, hey, it's on Le'Aaron versus Nancy in December. I'm like, okay. So I said, Nancy, congratulations. She's all like, I can't believe I won. Here comes Le'Aaron in a dress and everything. She kicks everyone's ass at the tournament, and she changes into the dress, red carpet event, comes up on stage and goes, hey, now we have our match December 10th at the Washington State Championships. Nancy Nations, Le'Aaron Wilson, come get you some. And that kind of got the crowd fired up. So impromptu.
Wow. Well, building the next match, it's UFC style.
Yes, this is something that everybody should be on board with, because I'm telling you, and I'll save that tidbit for the last main event match. But what else we got? You want to talk about Rakers and Adam Rosinski?
Sure. Let's talk about that.
Okay, quick tidbit. Brent's a very strong guy, strong wrist, strong hand, and I actually had Brent Rockers winning,
Me too.
but I interviewed Adam. And you got to realize how much I had at one point in my hotel room. I had Adam, Artem, Coach Ray, Giannis, all in my hotel room at one time, talking it up, interviewing each other, that kind of stuff. So these guys pulled a couple times in the last 9 months or so. And Adam told me, hey, when I lost to Brent Rockers the last time, the minute he lost, he knew what mistake he made. And his goal was to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I'm telling you, first of all, Adam's a nice guy. Got the, glasses and everything. Thick dude. Did you see his hand size?
No, I did not.
How much bigger it is than his left?
No.
It's weird. He told me a story. He was kind of born that way. It's not like Oleg Zolk where it's like, like that. But it was weird because he said he noticed that when he was playing football, and one of the kids' parents got gloves for the players, and one glove didn't fit his right hand. And he trying to figure, it's like, well, do I got like two different pair of gloves or what's going on? That's how he knew his right hand was extremely bigger than the other. If you see it and it's in person, it's like, wow. So that alone, to see him catch Brunt in a hook and just sit there and stare at him, I've never seen that intensity before.
No. That's a little crazy. Did not see that coming. And I don't know what's next for him, but I'm going to watch.
I mean, he made Brent elbow foul twice. Like, fuck, dude. He fouled out twice, and then match 3 was like, okay, I want to make sure I get this guy a legit win. So, of course, Brent's trying everything and doing all that kind of stuff. Adam is just holding there, elbow sucked to the pad, just shoulder engaged, and sat there and go, okay, no more of this. Black. I'm thinking, holy shit. That like woke me up. I'm like going, I did not see that happen. I really didn't.
Jamie Sheldon says, I warmed him up. He's unreal strong. I had to use 2 hands.
Yes.
In a warm up.
And guys, Jamie is not exaggerating. Like, seriously, this is legit stuff here, So fuck. But yeah, kudos to Adam. Who's next? I don't know. Maybe he might be on the next Arm Sport Entertainment showdown.
So next up, we want to jump into Robbie Tope versus Paul Passmore.
Again, these guys pulled in the tournament, but they pulled right-handed, a little different, right? So I did nothing but commentating basically all weekend. So I'm commentating the live tournament, and we get to the open class, the supers, and Robbie Tope and Paul Passmore. Here's the thing. 2 matches from that tournament made the entire crowd just stop and watch. One of them was when, are you familiar with Ole Mazoy?
No.
He's out of California. Awesome guy. I think he's from the Ukraine. Lives in California now. When him and the Jedi actually got called in the open class, Tim walked by, dropped a $100 bill for the winner, and like the entire crowd focused on that. Like the matches all in the second table, they actually stopped to watch that. That's how it was with Tope and Passmore, because these guys knew that, hey, they're going to get after it left-handed, but this was right-handed. So let's see what happens. And I'm watching, I'm commentating, and it was weird because I'm thinking, okay, Tope's going to top roll, Paul's going to hook. They slipped, and all of a sudden, or elbow fall, I think it was, and then Paul kind of glared at me as I'm doing commentating, and he kind of winked at me. I'm thinking, oh, shit, he has this. So Tope hits, Paul catches him, takes him down to the pad. I'm thinking, wow, is this the precursor of what's going to happen in the, super match? Well, we go to match number 1. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Clearly, Tope's going to set up. He's setting up high. He's leaning back like he's water skiing. he's going to come with enough power. Paul gets him in a strap, takes him down. Paul's up 1-0. I'm thinking, here we go, how the winds have changed, because now everything kind of, Paul was in his corner, and he's all like, okay, I think I got this. And Tope made a little bit of adjustment, even more up pressure, and to where now Paul's wrist is being buckled back. But Paul doesn't really care because he can pull like that.
Yeah.
But the amount of torque and pronation that Robbie had, while Paul's like, that's just too much for him. I actually kind of cringed at one point.
And then Robbie wins the rest of the matches.
Yes. And I'm sitting there watching, and I'm taking notes because me and Robbie have a match June 11th, and I'm taking notes. I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking, oh boy, I got my work cut out, but I got a plan. Hopefully it works out. We'll see, But yeah, Robbie looked at very dominant, left hand. Paul looked at dominant right hand in the tournament. So there you go.
There you go. Wayne Withers, Don Underwood.
You got two guys over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there right now. Okay. Don is not known for his hook. Okay. And Wayne is all about his cupping, pronation, top roll. On the go, Wayne got it, but Don stopped him like this. And once Don got his shoulder involved, I've never seen Wayne struggle to get a pin. And so I thought, maybe Don's going to, bleed him out from here. And now we got something. Problem is, it kind of bled out Don too. Like, okay, now he's all drenched with sweat, huffing and puffing. Wayne's in the corner, huffing and puffing. You got the Southern boys, and you got Paul Passmore in the corner of Wayne. Don's over here. You got Bob Brown in his ear and stuff like that. And it was also good to have the corner people involved. That was interesting too. But it just seemed it was just too much. And Don had a game plan. He wanted to do something different. I thought if Don tried to match the up pressure of Wayne, it wasn't going to work well. I think Wayne, figured it out that, okay, if I can keep high and not allow Don to go inside, that I think I might have this. And he did. And like the old tell story, once you lose, you have to make an adjustment. If you don't, then it's going to be the same thing.
That's right.
Right. So
that's how it went.
Kudos to Wayne for getting it done, but he had to scrap and claw to get that victory. So
yeah. Which leaves us only one more match to talk about.
Yes.
Cory Miller and Giannis.
And I'm going to say this. Here's the thing, guys. How important is this match here in the States, and how important was it to be on Arm Sport Entertainment? I said so many times over the weekend that this match of Cory Miller and Giannis could have happened at Arm Wars, but it didn't. It could have happened in Dubai, but it didn't. It could have happened with Engen, at the East vs. West, but it didn't. This match took place right here statewide, What can I say? You got two guys who top roll. That's their, preferred style, but they top roll differently, okay? So Cory likes to top roll real quick, sideways, right? That first match, and the crowd exploded like, oh shit, now it's on now. And it was weird because, Giannis had this look on his face that it's okay. He kind of nodded because Coach Ray obviously was in his corner. Kind of nodded, I got this. I'm thinking, really? Cory on his chair, he has Bob Brown in his ear. He has Jamie Sheldon, giving him a rub down. I'm thinking he has Team USA in his corner, obviously. Like, he has the entire, basically, room on his side in his corner. And once again, you make the adjustment. Now, when Cory top rolls, it's more of a flash this way, where Giannis's top roll is more of a up pressure that way. So now it's about, and even Giannis said in my interview with him, check it out if you need to see it. He goes, hey, speed is okay, but you got to have power with that speed. Giannis, being smart, table IQ that he is, and so is Cory, Giannis was able to go ahead and position himself and catch him, freeze him at the top, because all Cory was doing this. Giannis froze him at the top And then he kind of just positioned himself where it's like, okay, you keep surging, I got you right here. And it didn't matter what Cory did after that. He tried, and damn it, I was so proud of him, but Giannis was just too much for him. Giannis put himself in a position where he can catch that,
Yeah, and Giannis showed, why he's at that level, I think, because he just maintained composure and knew he could come back from that. And it's the experience. And what he said earlier in that, yeah, I know he's fast, but is he faster than all the other guys I've faced all around the world at all times? Is he the fastest? And yeah, the point being, Giannis has faced and beaten everybody.
4-time WAF champion if you need him, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, just, wow. What's next? That's the question. What is next? Because good Lord, I mean, that I don't even know. Because that match, everybody was in that match, as they should. But overall, a well put production. I was really happy I was a part of that. I was able to sit there and call the match in front of me. I was excited. I can't wait for the next one. Everybody, I'm telling you right now, buckle up, because this is going to be big time stuff.
And you're getting a lot of good reviews on your commentary. So well done there.
Thank you, everybody. I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. I was nervous because when that guy says, or countdown 10-9, I'm thinking my heart just fluttered like, oh crap, it's real now, So, but thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. And I'm telling you right now, I can't wait to do it again. This is what I love to do. I love to talk. So this is what I like to do. Hey, when my pulling days are all behind me, I got options. I got this podcast show with Ryan. I got my own podcast. I can do play-by-play. I'm a certified referee. So I have options in this sport. So when I think I'm done pulling, there you go.
Now, is there anything in the tournament that stands out to you?
The tournament itself, it went longer than we anticipated. That's expected. But the array of talent from all states, there was a group from Mexico that came to the tournament. You had Oregon, you had Missouri, you had Florida. I mean, hell, you had Utah, you had all kind of guys from different states, that came down here and competed. And I would tell everybody that it's good to pull in your area. Don't get me wrong. But when you venture out of your own backyard, different time zone, if you will, you're going to find out that everything is not as, maybe sometimes you think you're not as good as you are until you venture out. It's always good to put yourself out there on the map. So I would tell everybody out there, hey, maybe I might need to go to North Dakota one day. Maybe I might, So, hey, who knows? But I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. And I hope everybody looks forward to the next event. I foresee, unless he has something sooner, December 10th, Vancouver, Washington State Championships. We already know one matchup, Nancy Nations and Leon Wilson. So keep your eyes peeled. It's only going to get better, folks.
Now, what do we have coming up this weekend, Jody? Is there anything that stands out to you? Because I'm not aware of anything. I haven't really looked, though.
No, I haven't. I just, I got something local that I'm doing. Our Oregon rankings practice coming up, but that's nothing nationwide. But no, I think after two big tournaments, everything's going to kind of rest, and maybe the weekend after, because now we're going to start hitting into the month of May, and it's going to get badass. Oh, Billy Berg, here we go. Super chat.
Just for you, Jody, says, on your great job on your commentary and can't wait to pull.
Thank you.
Hashtag.
Ryan, one thing I want to mention when I was commentating is that when guys got in the strap, I want to make a point that, hey, explaining why they got into a strap, explaining what adjustments people need to make. And I was trying to hit on that. Hey, maybe Cory should slide his elbow forward to get more height to make sure he can stop that hit. I mean, I don't know. I was just trying to make sure and break everything down as much as possible. I hope people understood what I was trying to do, because you have to remember, too, not only the arm wrestling community, but there are people who don't know about the sport that happen to watch, and I got to make sure they understand what we're all talking about. So I really want to hit, hard on that,
Yeah. You mean
Macho Man. Oh, go ahead.
How would you explain the strap in, let's say, WAL rules?
That'd be difficult. Thank God we weren't doing those rules, you
They
know?
couldn't get their grip in 30 seconds, so we're
Right.
going to the strap.
Well, I was trying to explain that, you got both pullers jockeying for position, trying to get the best grip they can. And, I don't think there was a single ref grip. I don't think.
In contrast, the other event had lots of ref grip.
Yeah.
Lots. So, you want to touch on rules a little bit, or we want to save that for next week with Brita jumping on with us?
I think we should save that.
Yeah.
Save that with Brita, because I'm excited he's going to be on there. So.
Now, someone asked me earlier if I was still jumping on with Monster Michael Todd. Yep. When we have an opportunity, we're still going to do that. And just to give you guys a hint of what that is, we're going to be talking about our opinions on the watch along live streams.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yep.
Or a comment? The one thing that didn't make sense to me this weekend, I get it. The pay-per-view, right? We had a pay-per-view, wasn't open to everybody unless you bought the pay-per-view. And I'm speaking Arizona State.
Yep.
And you got Uncle John and you got Ozzy Armwrestler doing the watch along. I'm okay with that. What didn't make sense is that they had the watch along during the Louisiana super matches, and yet they went live.
Yeah, I mean,
it looked weird because for those that didn't get the pay-per-view, you can actually watch those guys, and they're not showing anything, but you get to get their side of the story. It's almost like they're commentating, which I love. They can keep everybody involved. You got to visually picture it, but it almost seems like, well, hell, the whole purpose of a watch along is because if you did not, for whatever reason, get the pay-per-view, you can actually watch these guys and get their thoughts. But they did it with the Louisiana State, whereas High Dollar Entertainment was actually showing the actual matches. So you didn't have to watch Uncle John and Ozzy, their stuff. You can actually, unless you're big fans of them, which is also cool too, by the way. But you could have watched the match itself and have your own thoughts or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I thought that one was a little different.
The debate we're going to have, I don't want to get in too much to it here because this is one thing we're going to talk about, is how much it actually disrupt pay-per-view buys when you give someone an alternative to the pay-per-view.
It's not the same, honestly.
It's not, but how many, like, for example, the PAL event, I think there was like 160 pay-per-view buys and like 700 people watching the commentary watch along.
I didn't know those numbers.
Yeah. So how many of those people, if there was no alternative, might have purchased the pay-per-view? That's the argument that's coming up.
Well, like UFC, hey, we'll go pay-per-view, but we won't release some of them. I mean, I think even Pradeep had the still frames of the Cory match with Giannis. Not the actual match, but just still, images,
He did still frames of the event you were at too.
Yeah. So, there's still that I'm okay with, because you and I are WWE fans, and after a WWE pay-per-view, the next night is Raw. Raw would do still footage. You know who won, but you still want to see how they won. So it's kind of like this, like we all know Giannis won, but how did he win? So you still want to see that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk more about that.
Yep. All right, my friend. Well, should we put a bow on this one for today?
Let's shall. Hey, everyone, thanks for joining us on the show. Ryan, I'm excited for next week.
You know what? So am I. It gives us a good subject to talk about, and Brita jumping on, who go check out his Facebook page, see some of his status updates, because they're interesting. Even though it didn't impact his event did not end on fouls. Right. There's lots of complaining about the rules and some heckling going on from the crowd at that event. So it's something they had to say, that we won't tolerate any disrespect to the referees. And some disrespect was coming, but that's the rule set that everyone picked, and we'll get into it on Monday. If you guys haven't done so already, hit like and subscribe, and go into the description and check out Jody's channel as well, and go over there and hit subscribe on that one.
Please do. Please do. I love all the stuff. Hey, guys, I'm doing this because I love to do this kind of stuff, so I'm doing it for y'all. So,
right on. All right, everybody. Until next week.
See you when I see you guys. Take care.